governments with ideologies based on their roots. The Whigs were Scottish-based and the Tories were Irish. Real political alignment took shape for the two groups in 1874. As that system eventually trickled down to Commonwealth democracies, Papua New Guinea became one of them. But how that system has played out in this country over the years has been a topic of contention. Many have heard of political parties, but few understand how they work. From a number of interpretations, political parties can generally be summed up as organized groups seeking political power. Firstly, the organized groups vet and recruit candidates for public office. Secondly, they draw up policies and present them to voters. They then organize the elections and finally accept the responsibility of operating a government. This would appear simple and straightforward, but in Papua New Guinea, it departs from the established norms. Politics in Papua New Guinea has been and will always be a draw card. With the people, it's like cream to cake, enticing, something they must have, but it is not the same British recipe. That invariably led to misunderstandings, but more so, missed opportunities in appreciating the full benefits of political parties under the Westminster parliamentary democratic system. But how has that come about and why?
Just 100 miles from the Australian mainland, a new country is emerging. After almost 150 years of colonial control, Papua New Guinea is going it alone from the end of this year.
Papua New Guinea was a territory, legislated as such by the Colonial Government of Australia in 1949. By virtue of that law, a set of political and administrative processes were set in motion that eventually led to self-government and independence. By 1951, the colonial administration established a legislative council as the facilitator. Local governments, a public service, and a judicial system soon followed. The Legislative Council operated as the government and managed the affairs of the territory for the next 13 years until the first House of Assembly in 1964. A total of 69 members made up that assembly, part elected, part appointed. Some of the Papua New Guinea names of the first house, known to this day, were Tea Bal, Matthias Tolliman, Peter Luce, Sui Korondo, John Guys, Sinake Giregire, Paleao Moloat, Paul Lapun, among others.
Why a presidential system rather than the Westminster system?
Westminster, I'm afraid, well, I put it this way. What is necessarily good for Australia cannot be necessarily good for Papua New Guinea.
The second house from 1968 to 72 had 100 members. Among the new faces were Michael Samare, elected as the member for East Sepik Regional, and Julius Chan represented Namatanai on New Island.
You can say God made the world, but Papua New Guinea was made by Somare, John Guys, and myself.
What do you mean by that?
That is a fact. That is a fact because we designed the Papua New Guinea at that time and the future of the country at that time.
Can't argue with that declaration made as governor of New Island in 2021. They were nevertheless part of a small group who played a pivotal role in setting up the development path of a young country. More on that later in the documentary series. The other names of the second house that still resonate today include Ebia Olewale, Thomas Cavalli, Owala Owala Rarua, Tore Lokoloko. Nearly all of them have passed on. Among the surviving at this time is Yano Bello, who represented Kagua Open in the Southern Highlands for the second house.
Or man meri gerab dog, nogat. Man beri goro mas was in believe the most people me from Madim Yano Bello, all the targets.
The country's first fully elected parliament was realized in 1972. Procedures of sessions were comfortably embraced by the founding fathers.
In 1972, John Caputin and I, who were contemporaries in school in Australia, were both elected to Parliament. And we met Sir Michael. And Sir Michael said to us, I think you people, I hope you were not brainwashed by our brothers in Australia.
The white people are saying that it is a struggle between the young and the old. This is not true at all. Our elders are still there. But for our message, for our thinking to be heard by the white people, it has to be put across to them in their terms, in their own language. And that's where the young people are speaking out today.
At that time, there was little enthusiasm for political parties, perhaps a consequence of views held by the colonial administration that parties were not in the best interest of the territory.
Dear son, you ask me how I live such a good life. Yes, I've had some good luck, like the day I met your mother. But it wasn't always that way. I've made some good choices too, like working hard and keeping my super with NASFAN. They looked after it for me, which meant I could concentrate on looking after my family, living each day knowing that when the time came, I'd be ready for tomorrow. Love, Dad.
From humble beginnings 30 years ago, Daytech is now the largest communications technology solutions and services provider in PNG. We have intensified our solution and service offering with sound business practices and a strong affiliation with some of the largest technology providers in the world. Daytech does not only strive towards supplying goods with total customer satisfaction, but we innovate and provide value-added services. Daytech, innovative solutions, valued services.
From the mountains to the seas to global markets, the National Fisheries Authority proudly celebrates 50 years of growth. We're advancing tuna domestication, aquaculture, coastal fisheries, and sustainable fisheries management. Through stakeholder consultations, policy reforms, and stronger surveillance, we're protecting PNG's marine wealth and shaping a sustainable future. National Fisheries Authority, sustaining our future, empowering our nation.
Get twice the data with Telecom. Enjoy bonus double data from Thursday to Saturday on selected plans. You get twice the data at the same price. For instance, for 5 Kina, you get 6 gigabytes valid for 1 day. And that's more data for you to stream videos and play your online games. Drop into your nearest Telecom store or kiosk to top up and get your double data. Great value and PNG owned sure feels good.
Accept the challenge. Choose PNG's favorite purified bottled water. Fruit Pilwara, 100% PNG made.
Proudly bottled by Paradise Foods. Join me on House and Home for all your home and lifestyle improvements.
It's not rocket science. And many of these things too, I didn't go to school, I teach myself.
From Hot Talk Mom, health and fitness, interest stories, gardening tips, out and about, pet care, and many more. Join me every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on your number one to watch, EMTV.
One of the pioneer politicians, Albert Marikiki, said in 1967 that the Australian administration was weary of indigenous political organisations and discouraged attempts to establish parties. Even some well-to-do Papua New Guineans are today said to have opposed political parties. This is attributed as one of the catalysts in the weak, underdeveloped party system in the country.
If you look at the kind of political environment that we're in, you will find that the voting systems that we've used has not been providing what we want.
Given the colonial attitude on political parties, the United Nations intervened in 1971 and urged the promotion of parties on a nationwide scale. The administration complied and subsequently carried out educational campaigns. If Papua New Guinea were to be successful in applying this system of governance, it had to adapt. If the Whigs and the Tories were the first British political parties, Labour and Liberal in Australia, then Pangu and the United Party were Papua New Guinea's versions of the same. Similar in ideologies and purpose, but very different in application and outcomes. That position had not improved over the last 50 years. No Western parliamentary democracy can expect to thrive on that. Today, Papua New Guinea's underdeveloped party system has had to coexist with a highly competitive democratic political process. As a result, no single party has ever managed to capture the support of the whole country at any election to form government on its own. The consequence has been multi-party governments since independence. Political parties emerged in Papua New Guinea in the late 1960s. There were wide expectations that 2 or 3 major parties would dominate post-independence in the context of the first-past-the-post electoral system at that time. That, however, did not happen. Any party that came close to that was the Papua New Guinea Union Party, or Pangu. The other was the United Christian Democratic Party, later the United Democratic Party, UDP. Both can be described as the first indigenous political parties to contest seats in the 1968 House of Assembly. UDP, however, faded away after failing to make an impact. Pangu, on the other hand, was successful. It won 10 of the 84-member assembly. There were a number of other smaller parties, though they were not so successful, due partly to the anti-party sentiments perpetrated by the colonial administration. Candidates even avoided endorsements by parties. Between the time of the Second House of Assembly and the Third in 1972, 3 mass-based political movements also emerged. They were the Matungan Association of Eastern Britain and the Napidakoi Navitu of Bougainville and Papua Bazena in Central. The Matungans were a group of educated Tolais opposed to the colonial administration on several issues, including land reform policies. The association also pushed for self-government for East New Britain. Leaders who spearheaded the move included Oscar Tamur, John Caputin, and Damien Kerekou.
We are bullies and we are prepared to face the consequences.
Bear in mind that we were probably the first group ever to stand up for the rights of Papua New Guineans.
Similarly, the Napitokoi Navitu was a nationalist movement on Bougainville that opposed the land alienation for mining, particularly with Panguna, and also promoted the feeling of separateness from the rest of Papua New Guinea.
And they agreed on highest autonomy. Highest autonomy now doesn't come up. Before 1975.
And the question of independence was mooted at that time too. Yes. You declared unilateral independence.
UDI. But then, and give credit to Leo, despite the fact that the people wanted UDI or declared UDI, we convinced Morna they went for highest autonomy for Bougainville.
Yes.
But for others, as and when they are ready. You see, we were very fair. And this was 1975.
Another movement that emerged from the southern part of the country was Papua Basena. It also, as the name would suggest, advocated a separate state for Papua. All the movements fielded candidates for elections, but were not regarded as political parties. By 1972, there was excitement that more political parties would emerge and expand. For the first time, the stage was set for a party-based election for the third house. 150 of the 611 candidates who contested at that time were either endorsed or backed by political parties. There were still obstacles, however. The excitement of expanding political parties faded to entrenchment around party leaders. Party structures failed to expand beyond towns. Some candidates were even reluctant to identify themselves with parties. The United Party expected to win more than 60 in the 1972 elections, but it ended up with 37, and Pangu Party 26. No one party won an absolute majority. With the 26, the leader of Pangu, Michael Samare, was able to form a coalition government with 11 members from the People's Progress Party, 8 from the National Party, and 3 from the Mataungan Association. 8 were independents. The United Party, on the other hand, accepted the role of opposition. There were no nominated members in the third house. Pangu Party was founded in 1967 from a meeting of young nationalists who met regularly at the Administrative College at 6 Mile in Port Moresby to talk about political issues. They also enjoyed bully beef at the gatherings, and for the want of a better name for their meetings, called it bully beef. Members of the Bully Beef Club were students of Ted Wolfers, now an emeritus professor, retired, and lives in Wollongong in Australia. He remembers his students as politically active, as the word independence was part of the conversation among young people.
Well, it was only for a fairly brief period because I was asked to teach in at the administrative college, as it then was, because they wanted Cecil Abel to go away on leave because he was seen as stirring up too much radical excitement in the place. And I was asked to tutor there, and I had no relevant experience, so it was quite an adventure. And of course, in those days there was no university in Papua New Guinea, so the only real opportunities for educated or for higher education were at the administrative college or the teachers' college. And so you had, when I went to ADCOL, very distinguished or what became a very famous cadre of students, but one didn't know they were going to rise quite as much as many of them did. They were just, outspoken, prominent young public servants.
There were a total of 26 members, and they represented a cross-section of the country. Among those from the Highlands was Joseph Nombre. From the New Guinea Islands was Lucas Waka. From the southern region was Jacob Lemeki, and Momase was Jerry Nalau. The party executives represented what was then the 4 regions of the territory: Papua South Coast, Highlands, North Coast Momase, and New Guinea Islands. They were a group opposed to colonial rule. The only female in the Bully Beef Club was Ilan Sikot, who later became the wife of the former Hagan Member of Parliament, Paul Pora. Many of the original members of the Bully Beef Club later became parliamentarians themselves. Some were appointed as diplomats, others held key positions in governments after independence. The Pangu Party's founding leader was Paul Lapun, who was elected to the first House of Assembly in 1964 as the member for South Bougainville. He assumed that role in 1967 when the Pangu Party was formed that year. Pangu policies were political unification, grow income, and a stronger economy. Paul Lapun led Pangu to the elections for the second House of Assembly in 1968. The party won 10 seats. It performed better than other parties, but not enough to form government on its own. Paul Lapun then relinquished the Pangu Party leadership in 1972 in favor of Michael Samare. Lapun became more involved in Bougainville issues, particularly the Pangu Mine Agreement and secession, spearheaded by the Navitakoi Navitu movement, of which he was the patron. Pangu won 18 members and 8 pro-candidates in the 1972 election. In December the following year, Michael Samare became the chief minister when Papua New Guinea attained self-government. Pangu's prominence continued to independence in 1975 and thereafter, giving the party a place in the history books of Papua New Guinea. The name Michael Samare became synonymous with Pangu. The voters across the country either heard of his name or saw his picture. But the Pangu Party failed to have a solid party organizational structure to capture the whole country. Regional and personality politics played a big hand, a downside in the weak party system that we will explore further in this documentary series.
Dreaming for more than the life we've known. There is more to what the future holds. You may hold him and walk one time, giving wings to our dreams. that it's so on high, so high in the sky. Oh, 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 oh. We dare to believe in incredible things. Oh, 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 oh. With money plus we're ready to go. It's our chance to building something new, to see a different point of view. Let's be part of something wonderful. Strong in life, belong in me. Stretch him, sing down, belong all family. Oh, 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 oh. We dare to believe in incredible things. Oh, 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 oh. With money plus we're ready to go. Oh, 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 oh. We dare to believe in incredible. We dare to believe. Oh, 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 oh.
Hi, I'm Chef Jules Hennow, and this is where my true inspiration for cooking started. Like most of us, I learned to cook from my mum. Nothing beats simple recipes where fresh local produce is at the heart, especially when it's a home-cooked meal, prepared and shared with the ones you love. And in PNG, no meal is complete without rice. And my choice is always True Guy. True Guy, true inspiration through generations.
The United Party had its origin from an independent members group, IMG, called Combined Political Association or COMPAS. COMPAS was formed at Minch in the Highlands in 1967 by expatriate and indigenous members of the first House of Assembly who had aligned themselves with the Highlands Farmers and Settlers Association. Among them were Wabek Open member Te Abal and Goroka's Sinake Giregire, who subsequently became the leader and deputy of COMPAS respectively. By 1971, COMPAS changed its name to the United Party, and both members retained the same leadership roles. The party then claimed the backing of 45 parliamentarians. Other earlier political parties, as we will learn later, also emerged from COMPAS, but before going on their own, they were blended together in their opposition to Pangu's demand for early independence. But the Highlands' domination of COMPAS leadership apparatus drew distrust from members of the other regions. 10 of them, mainly from the New Guinea Islands, broke ranks to form the People's Progress Party. The People's Progress Party was founded in 1969. Two names are prominent with the party: Julius Chan and Warren Dutton. Chan, the member for Namatanai on New Island, was the parliamentary leader, and Dutton, who later became the member for North Fly, was the first secretary of the party in 1970. The People's Progress Party served distinctively as the business services group That ultimately became the bedrock of the party's policies over the next 50 years. Julius Chan is credited for the establishment of Papua New Guinea's banking and financial systems.
What is a central bank? I didn't know. Okay, we just know that there is a Reserve Bank of Australia. So being a finance minister, I had to pretend as if, I'm in control. And I have to radiate that confidence to the people of the country, because we were all quite ignorant. And because we have made the decision to be self-governing and to be independent, we had to radiate that confidence.
Another of the early political parties, the National Party, was Highlands-based, also an offshoot of Compass. The party was formed in 1969 with members Thomas Kavale, Sabumai Kofikai, and Sui Korondo. They were considered more aggressive leaders opposed to the go slow for independence by the United Party, but not too fast either by the Pangu Party.
All kind can know you me bringing me. Kusai now. You must look good inside of this place citizenship.
In later years, Yambaki Okuk and Paul Pora became prominent figures. At this point, the party is led by Karenga Kua, the member for Sina Sina Yongomul.
But we live in different times now, and things have really changed. The culture of politics has changed so much, so that it's no longer what I grew up knowing. And so in order to play the contemporary politics, you have to readjust.
Another pre-independence party to emerge from Compass was the PNG Country Party. It was initially established as the Territory Country Party in 1967, a branch of the Australian Country Party. That link, however, was relinquished in 1974 when Manu's Member of Parliament Michael Pondros informed the House that the party was now independent. Its leader was Goroka member Sinake Gire Gire, who had moved from the United Party. The party also announced an 8-point plan with agricultural development as its priority. But as time went on, its momentum faded when Sinake Gire Gire and the Deputy Party leader Michael Pondros lost their seats in the 1982 elections. The party has struggled since. Papua Bazana began not as a political party, but a movement that emerged from the Central District, led by its founder, Josephine Abijah. She had won the Central seat in 1972 and became the first female Member of Parliament from 1972 to 82 and from 1997 to 2002. As the name would suggest, Papua Bazana's agenda failed to garnish outside support.
I believe in what I was fighting for at that time, and I still feel that unless they correct that, we are going to have problem all the time.
From 1964 to independence in 1975, there were 5 fully recognized political parties: Pangu, the United Party, the People's Progress Party, the National Party, and the Country Party. A number of other smaller parties did push their claim onto the political scene in pre-independence, but faded off thereafter. Political parties were a new concept then. The excuse can be made that they are still in a transition period from underdeveloped to develop. But what's extraordinary is that the Westminster parliamentary process in the conduct of elections and formation of governments, the principal fundamentals in any democracy, has been carried out in Papua New Guinea, but there is something missing. The country has been denied the full benefits of organized party structures where policies are clearly articulated and implemented. In the next edition of Know Your Political Party, we look at the first election post-independence in 1977 all the way to OLIPAC, the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates, in 2001.
Auntie, I'm all do Danis. What's a sekim soul?
Mika winning World Hip Hop Dance Championship. Now you winning one.
Auntie, come to Goxi.
You play or is that? You fit Laura.
You think you passed it?
Sparks. It's in me.
From the mountains to the seas to global markets, the National Fisheries Authority proudly celebrates 50 years of growth. We're advancing tuna domestication, aquaculture, coastal fisheries, and sustainable fisheries management. Through stakeholder consultations, policy reforms, and stronger surveillance, we're protecting PNG's marine wealth and shaping a sustainable future. National Fisheries Authority, sustaining our future, empowering our nation.
You get big data and big value with Telecom Good Pillar mobile data plans. From only 3 kina, you get 1 gig for 24 hours. And for only 150 kina, you get 130 gigs over a whopping 30 days. And with loads of Good Pillar data plans to choose from, there's a small, medium or large plan to match your budget. Dial *777# to subscribe. Telecom, connecting you anywhere, anytime.
Looking back, political parties were in an incipient stage. They emerged, but had yet to be developed. From the 1970s to the first election after independence in 1977, a number of developments took place that set the tone and the direction on how political parties would play the game, all the way to OLIPAC, the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates.
Tamua wasn't invited to this gathering of supporters of the multiracial ideal.
Firstly, there was the emergence of a national pressure group in 1974. It was not a political party, but a core of 18 members drawn from other parties. They retained their affiliations, but voted separately where they considered necessary on national issues.
It's out of the question. This idea is not me at all. No.
And so we had, when you elected first parliament, you had Michael Samari and the leaders, Pangu followers. Right. So Michael Samari with his followers, biggest group. And then second big group, People's Progress Party, Julius Stan with his followers. And then we have National Party, Thomas Kamali with his followers, not very big, but then number 3. Then we had John Guy with his independent people. Then we had Oscar Tamur with his 2 other Matangan people. And then we have Josephine Abijah.
I don't think that is true.
The second was the Papua Party, thought to back the separatist ideologies of leader Josephine Abijah.
Just because they were made inferior, we don't have to make ourselves inferior.
That soon followed the near collapse of the Country Party in 1977, when Prime Minister Michael Samari removed the party leader and his deputy from cabinet. The party subsequently decided to withdraw from the Pangu coalition, but some Country Party members preferred to remain within the coalition. These were new developments, the first test case of party allegiances or pursuing individual political aspirations.
Since self-government in 1972, I was behind the scene helping Dame Josephine Abijah. That's what happened. So I was in there until 77 election came, so that I decided to run. I put up a team together.
Morning, bro. Good morning. Everybody play strong ball on this election or not that?
Yeah, this election, Country Party got 116 candidates long all get half long Papua New Guinea. Suppose me play Kisim big play number, me also by Prime Minister.
Me play come sit down there, and me play trial of forming government. United Party immediately now forming government.
So by the end of the Fourth Parliament, the cracks and crevices in political parties emerged. Coalition ties became fragile, and calls were made for an all-party system or a no-party system. What stood out in the 1977 election was the revival of party organizations, or so it seemed. For the first time, more candidates were endorsed and supported by major parties. They began to have an impact. But observers also noted that party influences were confined. Voting in towns leaned towards associations, and in rural Papua New Guinea, it was all clan-based. Forming government also became quite a challenge, as post-election lobbying became intense. Coalition mergers were not oaths of office, so members could move freely from party to party. To stop this, 2 proposals were adopted. A national alliance was formed, consisting of some of the mainland-based parties, and an island alliance led by John Momas of Bougainville and John Caputin of Rabaul. That led to a coalition of Pangu and the People's Progress Party with a total of 58 members, supported by a splinter group from the United Party. Michael Somare became Prime Minister for the second time. He was also made a member of the Queen's Honourable Privy Council that year, bestowing him the title, the Right Honourable. But as history would have it, the alliance was the calm before the storm for the Pangu-led government. On the other side of the aisle, there was infighting when the regional member for Chimbu, Yambaki Okuk, who had become leader of the revived National Party, also assumed the role of opposition leader.
Big man. And big man, me talk about big man and me, you me, now you remember.
Since I entered the parliament and I came to meet Yambaki Okuk, he's the best I found that I can work with. A lot of people don't like him because he and I are very popular unpopular in many ways because of our roughness.
These positions gave the charismatic Highlands leader a sense of invincibility as he wedged 3 separate votes of no confidences in the Somare government 6 months apart, but they all failed. The break, however, came in 1980 when John Caputin and John Momus withdrew from the Pangu coalition. Julius Chen moved his People's Progress Party out from that coalition 2 years earlier. The split in the coalition was owed to policy and personality differences. Okuk seized that opportunity to move another vote of no confidence and named Julius Chan as the alternate Prime Minister. It succeeded, and Chan became the second Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea in January 1980. Okuk himself became the Deputy Prime Minister. Chan headed what was a national alliance government comprising of his People's Progress Party, the National Party, Melanesian Alliance, Papua Basena, and some United Party deserters. While Prime Minister, Chan was knighted by the Queen in 1981, and a year later he assumed the title of the Right Honourable when the Queen made him a member of the Honourable Privy Council. The Chan-Okuk marriage held, but it was a relationship destined to disintegrate before the 82 elections. Chan and Okuk had little personal empathy for each other. Momus and Caputin were economic nationalists. Papua Basena had little respect for Highlands leaders. It was a lethal political mix. The National Alliance idea failed to materialize after the 82 election. Pangu, on the other hand, had won enough to put together another coalition. But loud differences in party activities were noticed by observers. Nearly 60% of the 1,125 candidates were endorsed, at least by 8 political parties. In an overview of the elections by David Haggerty in 1983, candidates sought party labels, and also voters identified themselves with parties, but party organizations were still in a rudimentary stage. Voters preferred next to kin or associations at the ballot box. Haggerty further observed that party switching by candidates was common.
Now that Sir John Guy's has been re-elected to Parliament, will you be inviting him into your coalition? No.
But candidates were not the only villains. Political parties also supported more than one candidate to split votes. So, on the national scale, political parties simply lacked the power of influence, a case then and still is today. One in-print casualty of that was the election loss of Yambaki Okuk in the Chimbu regional seat in 1982. The firebrand political hope for the Highlands was no more, but his absence in Parliament was short-lived. Okuk returned as member for Ungai Bena in neighbouring Eastern Highlands following a by-election. It was an extraordinary case where the incumbent, Akape Meakwe, relinquished his seat to allow Okuk to contest. This stands out as the first in Papua New Guinea's short political history where a sitting member willingly gives up his seat for someone else he considers more important in Parliament. It also reaffirmed the case that personal, tribal, or regional ties remain strong during elections. After the 1982 election, Pangu secured more numbers and again formed a coalition government. The opposition was led by Ted Diro.
I was made commander by Somare and by Pangu Party, but I did not join Pangu Party. I joined the opposition because I was not happy with something that have happened in the Pangu's era of reign.
The founding national commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force won the central seat in 1982. Diro immediately became a serious player. He headed the People's Action Party and a group of independents that had close links with the National Party. And living up to the aura of political unpredictability, Diro also became the leader of the National Party when Okuk lost the Chimbu regional seat. But when Okuk returned in 1983, having won the Ungai Bena by-election, Diro relinquished both the National Party leadership and that of the opposition to Okuk.
International Hotel.
Hello, Papua New Guinea. It's the Big 50 sale at Prime Bell Home Centers, and you're invited. We're giving you more reasons to celebrate our independence with up to 50% off selected items store-wide. That's right, grab massive bargains on your favorite and homegrown brands in small and major appliances, entertainment, camping, outdoor, furniture, and plenty more. All backed by our trusted warranty program. Happy 50th Independence PNG from Prime Bell Home Centers, proudly serving the nation since 1958.
On behalf of Telecom Limited Group and its subsidiary business, board and management staff, our customers also, we trusted them. And those been there with us back in 1955 up till today. We want to wish all Papua New Guinean 50th every anniversary, and we look forward for another 50 years to come. Test of times that we are in, Telecom has now looked at how we can also align our business process, and we have done a lot of that in the last few years. We've got a plan that we want to change Telecom going forward in the future. We're looking at providing solution to all the businesses here in the country, especially our government departments, and we have signed a couple of them, and we will sign some more. And Telecom want to be leading digital transformation company in the country. And it's owned by the state, and therefore it is right for us to embark and push the agenda of the government about transforming digital transformation in the country. PNG should have connectivity to all the population by 2030 of 70%. That agenda Telecom is pushing ahead with what we're doing today. With that, I want to wish each and every one, our customers, our Papua New Guineans, our staff, their families who stood with everyone who stood beside to support this company to move forward. We want to say thank you to all the families, all our customers, all our management team, the board, and everyone who support Telecom all these years coming today. We want to say thank you and wish you all the best in 50th anniversary celebration. Thank you.
When life feels broken, when hope is gone, when prayers go unanswered, what do?
Put your faith into action. Put your faith to the test and see what God can do.
Faith isn't just believing, it's moving, trusting, and seeing God work in impossible situations. Faith in Action, 8:30 a.m. every weekdays, right here on your number one to watch, EMTV.
I'm going home. Relax, swim. That's what I'm doing.
The Pangu coalition enjoyed 3 years in office after the '82 election, but cracks began to surface when, in 1985, Deputy Prime Minister Pius Wingti led 15 members away to form the People's Democratic Movement. Furthermore, Pangu suffered another split when an independent group emerged from within Pangu, led by the Mosby Northeast member Tony Siaguru. The group wanted to be an affiliate of Pangu, but after being refused, it formed the League of National Advancement. In November 1985, Pius Wingti became the third Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, following a successful motion of no confidence against the Somali government. At 34, the member for Hagan Open became the youngest Prime Minister in the South Pacific. He was also admitted to the Queen's Honourable Privy Council, giving him the title the Right Honourable.
I want to thank all Papua New Guineans for putting myself and my team back into government again.
Pius Wingti's PDM coalition comprised of PPP, the National Party, and defectors from Pangu, the United Party, and Melanesian Alliance. It was not smooth sailing for Wingti. He too faced ramblings within the coalition, but held on to the election in '87. One of the sad moments of the Wingti reign was the death of his senior partner and fellow Highlands leader, Sir Yambaki Okuk, in 1986. Sir Yambaki was 41, knighted, and still a minister when he died from a suspected liver infection. A sense of loss gripped the country. Sir Yambaki was a polarizing figure whose leadership style was both raw and fearless, attributes that attracted admirers as well as enemies. His body was flown to provinces for the people to pay their last respects. As election for the 6th Parliament approached, a number of new parties and political groups emerged. It was then rightly expected that the number of party-endorsed candidates would increase, but a disappointing 3% of the total 1,513 candidates were party-linked in the 1987 election. Consequently, independents performed well, as did Pangu, and was expected to form the government, but it failed. Michael Samare blamed it on what he called the ramshackle gaggle of unruly independents.
At this time when Parliament sits, we would be able to legislate a few more legislations, which has been missing in the last almost 18 months. We have not been legislating at all. We've been playing politics, and we've been talking about who's going to be in the front, who's going to be the front runner, and who's going to do what.
Pius Wingti continued as Prime Minister with the support of those independents, as well as the People's Progress Party and the newly formed Papua Bloc. But Wingti came under extreme pressure when Ted Diro, who had served as the forest minister in the previous government, was charged with misconduct in office under provisions of the leadership code and also perjury charges following an investigation into the forestry industry. But Diro continued to remain in office and pressed for more cabinet posts for his party. At that point, there were also rumors of an impending coup when the Wingti government removed the commander of the Defence Force and 3 colonels, all of whom were Papuans. Calls were then made by members of the New Guinea Islands region for political stability that led to moves for a grand coalition of major political parties. But when talks failed, a government of national reconciliation was put forward with minor parties. When all that failed, a vote of no confidence was eventually brought against the Wingti government.
In any democracy, it's not what the number that counts, it's winning. And whether that number is 2,000 or 1, doesn't really matter. You know, that's what counts is that you win.
In July 1988, Parliament elected Serabi Namaliu as the 4th Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea. The member for Kokopo had taken over as leader of Pangu that same month. Serabi was also made a member of the Queen's Privy Council. 10 years earlier, he had been knighted. Serabi had 4 continued years in office, more than any of his predecessors. But that doesn't mean he had a smooth ride. In fact, it was 4 tumultuous years from 1988 to the next election in 92.
Those issues that are still outstanding can be resolved and resolved amicably to our mutual satisfaction.
Within that period, there was the start of the Bougainville Rebellion. The country faced an economic downturn. Law and order problems escalated. There was unrest within the Papua New Guinea Defence Force. Serabi's government also faced several votes of no confidence. The grace period for a vote of no confidence was increased from 6 months to 18. This was also the period when the Governor-General, Sesere Eri, a Papuan, refused to sack Ted Diro, who was recommended for removal from office by the Leadership Tribunal in 1981. Diro was found guilty on 81 counts of breach of provisions under the Leadership Code following an investigation into the forestry industry. Diro was Deputy Prime Minister then. When the Governor-General refused to sack him, it caused a brief constitutional crisis. But Diro eventually resigned as member for Central.
The status quo comprising Somare, Chen, and Wingti, and the Pangu, Semauri Kiki. They were too hard to knock. And I started off being very rough with the Pangu party and the politics in general.
The Diro affair had an unsettling effect on coalition partners in government. It caused splits, defections, and expulsions.
Ready? Let's go. Bite it, sip it, slurp it, eat it, drink it. Just at 0. Bite it, sip it, crunch it. Just at 0. Bite it, sip it, drink it. Just at 0.
What if every drop of waste oil you poured away could turn into something worse?
50,000 liters of oil is believed to have spilled into the sea.
Waste oil doesn't just disappear. It seeps into our rivers, poisons our land, and suffocates wildlife. Every drop counts, and every drop adds up. With Dunlop, we can recycle used oil to prevent this destruction. Recycling oil not only cleans our environment, but also reduces the need for new resources, saving energy and protecting ecosystems. let us handle your waste oil and help protect our environment for generations to come. Telecom is offering 2 phones at one price. This is the Telecom 121 and Telecom A551, bundled at the price of 199 kina. T121 phone features include 4G compatibility and camera, while the A551 phone features dual SIM and an AF camera. Great value and PNG owned sure feels good. Drop into your nearest Telecom store or kiosk today to grab that pair-perfect phone deal.
More than the life we've known, there is more to what the future holds. You may hold him and walk one time. Oh, 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 oh. We dare to believe in incredible things. Oh, 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 oh. With money plus we're ready to go.
I'm Martha, and each week on Kai Time, we'll introduce you to local food businesses showcasing their delicious dishes. Plus, you will discover how to make tasty and affordable meals using ingredients from your local markets. Tune in to Kai Time every Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on your number one to watch, EMTV.
By 1992, at least 6 political parties disappeared and new parties entered the arena. Nomination fees increased from 100 kina to 1,000 to counter the high number of candidates at every election. That, however, had no effect of the 1,655 candidates in the 1992 election. 75% nominated as independents.
Hello. You right?
Wingti wrestled the government from Sarabi Namalio by just 1 vote in Parliament. It came from Speaker Bill Skate. After 2 years in office, Wingti orchestrated a move to shield himself for the rest of the term. He resigned and was immediately re-elected as Prime Minister to avoid a vote of no confidence.
We are determined to be in government to provide stability for this country.
But a subsequent Supreme Court decision ruled the move illegal. In a parliamentary vote that followed, Sir Julius Chan became Prime Minister for the second time, and Chris Iveta, who had replaced Sir Rabi as Pangu leader, became Deputy Prime Minister.
It was quite easy for me to appoint my ministers because they're already in existence. I sort of left the Deputy Prime Minister, Chris Iveta, to...
Sir Julius, who was hailed for setting up Papua New Guinea's financial institutions, the Kina and Toya, and businesses, was at the center of a major political upheaval in 1997. His government secretively negotiated with an overseas military consultant, Sandline International, to bring an end to the Bougainville Rebellion. The move was challenged by the commander of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, Brigadier General Jerry Singarok, and called on Sir Julius, his deputy, and the Minister for Defence to resign. It was a tense period for the country. Sir Julius stepped aside following an inquiry. The findings neither confirmed nor exonerated, but a crisis had been averted.
Will direct the Deputy Prime Minister and the Minister for Defence to step aside. I myself will step aside.
There was a casualty, though. Sir Julius lost his Namatanai seat in the following 1997 election. The 1997 election for the 8th Parliament saw a proliferation of political parties. The People's National Congress came onto the scene, so did the Movement for Greater Autonomy, and among others, the National Alliance. The number of candidates also increased to 2,372. Over a quarter were listed as party attached. Independent numbers were also high. When the votes were counted, independents performed extremely well. The People's Progress Party won 16 and Pangu 13. The scramble for numbers to form government soon followed. There was also talk of a grand coalition of unity, transparency, and progress. Eventually, Bill Skate, the member for the National Capital District, emerged as the 5th Prime Minister of the country.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to offer my congratulations to Regional Member for National Capital District, Honorable Bill Skate, MP, our first Papuan Prime Minister.
Skate led a coalition that included the People's Progress Party, Pangu, and PDM. Bill Skate also faced difficulties as Prime Minister, but unlike his predecessors, his problems were self-inflicted. He sacked his Deputy Prime Minister publicly at Jackson's Airport in 1997 when Chris Iveta was there to welcome Skate back home from an overseas trip.
I've sacked Andrew Bynum. I think you people really set me up.
No, bro, I haven't.
In subsequent moves that went against the government, including a prolonged recess of Parliament, Bill Skate was forced to resign in July 1999. Skate was knighted by the Queen in January 2005. A year later, he died from a stroke, the first of the country's prime ministers to die.
In many democracies, why are they waiting for?
Papua New Guinea's 6th Prime Minister was Sir Makere Morauta, who was elected in the Mosby Northwest electorate in 1997.
I accept the nomination with great pleasure.
On becoming the head of government, Sir Makere was also made a member of the Queen's Privy Council. Sir Makere, a distinguished civil servant, he was the first National Secretary for Finance and credited for setting up the macroeconomic framework that underpinned Papua New Guinea's economic management for years on. He was also one of the Gang of Four that included Sir Abin Amaliu, Sir Charles Lapani, and Sir Anthony Siaguru, who played pivotal roles in the formative years. As Prime Minister from 1999 to 2002, Sir Makere instituted a number of constitutional and economic reforms. One of them was OLIPAC, the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates, the law that was designed to strengthen the operations of political parties in Papua New Guinea. So from 2001 to this point, has OLIPAC achieved the desired results? How the courts declared parts of that legislation unconstitutional? All of that in the next edition of the Chronicles of Political Parties in Papua New Guinea, 50 years on.
our hearts beat proud and true. 50 years of standing tall, the red, black, golden star shine through.
Happy 50th Independence Anniversary. In September this year, we celebrate a truly significant milestone, the 50th anniversary of our nation's independence. For education, we are celebrating 5 decades of shaping the minds, building the futures, and empowering our young people. This achievement is a testament to the unwavering dedication of our teachers, policymakers, and the communities who have tirelessly worked to nurture the potential within every student. As we reflect, we acknowledge the journey of expanding access to education across our diverse landscapes and developing the curricula that honor our rich heritage while preparing students for a globalized world. Education has been the cornerstone of our development, fostering innovation, promoting cultural understanding, and bridging gaps to build a more inclusive society. Looking ahead, technology will play an increasing vital role. Let us harness the power of digital tools and e-learning to enhance access, improve outcomes, and make learning more engaging. By embracing technology, we can connect our students with global opportunities and equip them with the skills needed for a rapidly changing world. We must prioritize STEM education, digital citizenship, and online safety to empower our students as innovators and leaders. To all our students, teachers, and families who have been part of this incredible journey, we salute you. Your perseverance and passion are the driving forces behind our progress. As we move forward, let us continue to invest in our children, our teachers, and our schools, ensuring that every child has access to quality education and the tools to strive in a technology-driven future. We also thank our many partners like the churches, or the levels of government, the development partners, the non-government organizations, and the private sector, and of course the civil society for all the support that you have given to education sector in the last 50